Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. So for this project, we're going to go ahead and create a bookmark. This is going to be a tutorial version of the bookmark that's going to look the same for all of us. And this is going to get us a little bit more comfortable with Tinkercad and how they use the different tools and the different functions inside of Tinkercad so that we can actually make a custom bookmark once we're ready. So this is going to help us get a lot more familiar with Tinkercad and get us a little bit more comfortable with the different tools that are available for us inside of Tinkercad so we can actually make a bookmark that we print using the 3D printers. So let's go and get started. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and download the bookmark plan that we have inside of the project. And let's go ahead and click on those three dots there on the right hand side and click on download. We're going to be doing this project inside of Tinkercad, so you want to make sure that you go inside of your class notebook and then click on the link that's inside of your handouts tab inside of your class notebook. So in order to find the link for this class, you want to go inside of your class notebook, find your name on the left hand side of your class notebook. You might have to click on this button on the left hand side here to get these drop down menus here. Find your name, click on your name, and then find the tab that says handouts. And if you click on that, make sure you click on the page that says Tinkercad and then click on that link there, and that'll take you over to Tinkercad. Once you get inside Tinkercad, you want to sign in using your nickname. Your nickname is usually your first name, the first letter of your last name, without any spaces in between, and also all lowercase as well. Alright, so let's go inside of our downloads folder. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. I'm going to hold down Control N to bring another file explorer over. I'm going to go over to downloads in this one. There is the plan. I'm going to go over here to documents in this window, go into the academic year that we're currently in, the period you have my class, the semester we're currently in, and I'm going to create a new folder. I can click on home and click over here where it says new folder. I'm going to call this a bookmark. And this is going to be the tutorial one, so you could write that in if you want. You can make a custom one separately, so that's why I put tutorial here. I'm just going to drag that over and bring it over to the new folder. And let's go ahead and open that up inside of Microsoft Word and try to follow along with this as best as possible. So I'm going to go and scroll down here. We need to create a new design, so let's go over to Tinkercad. Once you're logged in, it's just say create a new design. Let's go ahead and click on that. Let's go over to Microsoft Word and go ahead and scroll down here. And just to get a little bit more familiar, you do have a work plane here. You have some different duplicate, copy, and paste buttons, and also some tools here on the right hand side. So you can go ahead and read a little bit more about that. You could go ahead and sketch out your design, but for this tutorial one, you really don't have to because all of these are going to look very similar. So what we want to do, the first thing we want to do is we want to create a solid rectangle. So let's bring that box over. Let's go ahead and bring this box, click and drag over, and see what the next step is. And we need to change the size of this placard. They're going to call it a placard here. So you can click on a white corner to change the length and width of this. So the length and width of this needs to be 40 by 15, and the height needs to be 5. So let's go back. So you can click on a white corner. So this needs to be 40. This needs to be 15, so I'm just clicking on the numbers there. You can also minimize this. Click on the white box on top. We want to change that to 5. So I clicked on the white box, and then I clicked on the number to actually edit it using my keyboard. Alright, so 5, 40, and 15. Let's scroll down and see what else is the next step. So we need to bring a rectangle over, another rectangle. So don't get confused with some of these images here. This would be a pyramid, or they call it a roof here. But we need to make sure that we don't skip this step. So we need to bring another rectangle or another cube that is 30 by 25 with a height of 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring a box over. Let's click on the white corner there. Let's change this to 30. Let's change this to 25. Let's change the height here to 3. 30, 25, and 3. Alright, let's go ahead and bring a rooftop over. And we need to change the height of this. So the way we change the height is we need to rotate this. I'm going to click here on the arch. Click on the degree, change it to 90. So I clicked it at an angle here, so I'm kind of at an angle. And then I'm going to go to top view, and this needs to be 30 wide by 15. So clicking on that rooftop, clicking on the corner, this needs to be 30, and this needs to be 15. And then we need to change the height. So the way we change the height is we could change the angle of our view, click on that white square on top, and this needs to be 3. And it kind of moved it below the work plane, so what we could do is we could select both these shapes, click on Align, and I'm going to change the view here. I'm going to click this black indicator here in the middle to align the square and the rooftop there. Now I'm going to click off of Align, click on the black cone. I want to bring that both those shapes up here above the work plane. Alright, let's go back, and we need to move that rooftop into that top cube there. So let's go back to Tinkercad. I'm going to change the snap grid to 0.1. I'm going to zoom in here, and you want to get these as close as possible. So you want to zoom in as close as possible. You want to close this gap here. What you're trying to do is you're trying to close this gap. And the way that you know if you did this correctly is if you select both shapes and we group them, it'll get rid of this line here. So let's click on both and it'll get rid of that line. If you have a line, you might have to play around with some of the adjustments to make sure that everything's all aligned up. And what you're going to do now is we're going to duplicate this shape here a couple times because we're going to reuse it. So let's go to read these steps here so that we don't feel like we're skipping anything. So now that we click on the triangle we just made and position it flush again with the rectangle we just made. So shapes can easily be moved across the work plane by clicking directly and dragging them. So we need to rotate the triangle in order to get the 30mm side to line up. We did that already. And then our picture should look something like this here. And then we selected them, which we already did, and we grouped them to get rid of that line there that was in the middle. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create a template. So we're going to select a newly created shape and press the duplicate button located in the top left of the trash can, next to the trash can. And we're going to go ahead and duplicate that. We're going to duplicate it a couple times, and we're going to make it these same dimensions here. So let's go back. I'm going to duplicate it twice, and you're going to see why. So I'm going to click on this shape, duplicate, and move that to the side, and then click on that shape again, and then duplicate it to the side one more time. And let's go get the dimensions for this inner center part here. So it needs to be 20 by 30. So I'm going to click on that second one, click on the white corner, and this needs to be 20 by 30, so 20 wide with a length of 30, so 20 by 30. So 20, and this needs to go 30, and we need to change this into a hole here. And then before we cut the shapes out, we're going to duplicate it one more time, which we already did. And we're going to go ahead and select the smaller shape inside of the larger one, and we need to make it a hole. So let's go back. It's asking for us to select this middle one here and create a hole, and then we need to align these shapes here. So let's go to align those. So I'm going to click and drag my mouse to select both, and I'm going to click on align. I'm going to center them first by clicking on that black indicator there, and then I'm going to click on this back one there as well. And then we're going to have to group these. So let's click on group, and if you group them correctly, you won't have a back edge here, you won't have a bottom part of this bookmarker. Everything will just be a clean hole cut out of both those shapes. Alright, so let's go back. Alright, so now that last part that we duplicated, we need to make it these dimensions here, so 10 by 23. So let's go back. This one needs to be 10 by 23. You're going to click on it and then click on the white corner. So 10 by 23. I'm going to bring that over, and we can also align these. So I'm going to click and drag my mouse, click on align, center them for the front, and then move that to the back. And then the last thing we need to do is bring all those shapes together, and then we need to add text to this. So let's bring that text over. So I'm going to click and drag these over for now. I could probably even group those. I'm going to bring text over, so I'm still in my basic shapes. Scroll down, click on text, bring that over. And once you click on the text, you can click on this drop down menu, and it actually says text here, so you could delete that. And we're going to change it so that it says read me. So now we need to bring that text over, so we want to make sure we're still in basic shapes. Click and drag the text over. Once you click on the text, you might have to click on this drop down menu. It's going to say text, and you're going to delete that. and you're going to change it to say readme with an exclamation mark. And next we need to resize the text to fit inside the placard we created earlier. And for this tutorial, I changed it to 30 millimeters long and 6 millimeters wide. Alright, so we could click on the text, click on the corner of the text, and let's go back to see what those numbers were. So it's at 35 by 6. Click on the white corner, 35 by 6. And then we need to change the height here to 6, which is the next step here. So it says 35 millimeters long, 6 millimeters wide, and then a height of 6 so that the text could actually pop up out of the placard. So we need to move the 3 sections together, and then we need to group them. So let's go and bring all those shapes together. So I'm going to click on the text and go ahead and bring it over here. Fit it inside that placard. And we made that text with a height of 6 millimeters so that the text can actually be raised up just a bit. And I'm going to go to top view. I'm going to bring this bottom group here that we grouped earlier. I'm going to bring it just a little bit into that placard. You can also center it. So I'm going to click on that outside group of shapes, hold down Shift, click on the placard, and then I could align it to make it look a little bit more accurate. And then you would group all of this here. So click and drag your mouse and group everything all together. And then this is ready to export. So now that we're ready to export this, you got your tutorial version. And so again, this is just practice because you're going to make your own custom bookmark. So let's just pretend that we're going to print this out. Let's click on export, and you want to export it as an STL, and that's going to go over to your downloads folder. It's going to be whatever file name was originally given to this file. So you can actually change that if you want. Let me show you. So you can click up here where it says the default name, and I'm going to change this to bookmark tutorial, and then you could do your first name and last name. Alright, and then I could hit export STL, and then it should be exported with that file name there. So there we go. And then this would be what you can actually attach into the project inside of Teams for the tutorial version. So make sure you attach the one with that says bookmark tutorial with the first name and last name, and it's going to be brought into Tinkercad as an STL file. So if you have any questions about the directions for this tutorial, if you're having trouble bringing any of the shapes or grouping any of the shapes or turning some of these forms into holes and grouping them together, go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.